Hey, you two friends. I had a couple of people ask me about the truck. This is months ago, when I had the problem with intake manifold leaking, maybe something worse, and the engine missing. Well, this is a follow-up. I wanted to get it done because I had to get emissions tested. So I'll show you what I did to to get it, because it started running really bad and it wouldn't pass emissions. So let me show you something here. And I figure I'd make this video because people ask me about it. And here's the thing. And from my last video, I was saying it looked like the intake manifold was leaking either maybe into the engine or is burning, like it's leaking into the intake manifold, the coolant that is, leaking into the intake manifold, and it's burning, like, because every time I checked the level here, it was going lower. Every time I took a drive, it was ending up like a 1/4 inch lower, going about a 10-mile round trip. So the coolant was going somewhere and it wasn't dripping. I would have smelled it or something. And the engine was running really bad. It was started missing really bad and wouldn't pass emissions. Let me tell you what I did. First thing I did was I wanted to look at the spark plugs, because even though I put the plugs in about a year ago, I wanted to look at them, you know. So I took all the plugs out, and let me tell you what I found real quick here. I had torqued these in. Well, let me show you the plug first. Let me get one. Okay, here's one of the plugs I took out, and what I wanted to say is that these plugs came out really easy, like real easy, like they weren't tight. And I wanted to mention this because apparently I screwed up, and I wanted to mention this so other people don't screw up. But I looked online on the GMC website, and it said, like, some guy found like a data from NGK spark plugs, and they said to torque these taper seat plugs. They don't use a compression ring. They say torque these to 10.8 to 18 foot-pounds. So I torqued them to about 14, 15 foot-pounds. And apparently they loosened up. I had like 3 of them that were pretty loose. So that would kind of make the engine run a little rough, to be honest with you. And the other ones were in, but well, I wanted to tell you this though. On this side of the insulator of the plug, there's like a reddish residue. See on that side? And when I looked up that on Champion's website for Champion plugs, they said that's due to octane boost in a fuel additive. And son of a gun, they were right, because I used some octane boost in this gas tank to you know, because the truck's been sitting around for like 6 months and not used that much, so I wanted to put some octane boost in it. And the thing about that is they said a lot of times with the octane boost, not all the time, but they said that a lot of time that red residue is conductive, and it could kind of like start shorting out the spark, like instead of jumping the gap, it's kind of going to kill your spark because it's conductive. So I think I had that problem with these plugs. I think it was conducting, and I think the plugs were a little loose, and I think also a little bit of coolant was getting into the intake manifold from like a leak on the intake manifold too. So anyway, I took care of problems 1 and 2, and for this here, I put a new cap on it, and this cap is a 10-pound cap. Let me get the number of that. Yeah, here's the old cap, and it should be 16 psi, and that should open at 16 psi. I got a new cap. This is a Stant 10337 and lever vent. This is 10 psi. Made in Mexico, I guess. And that new cap, so they got it here. And I started running this truck around, and running it around, I noticed that I'm not going lower on the coolant tank anymore, which is like, wow. So does that mean that because I got less pressure in the coolant system, that the coolant isn't getting in past the intake manifold and either leaking into the engine or leaking into the intake manifold and be burned, where it doesn't really burn, but come through the exhaust like. So I was thinking about that, and well, it's better. I mean, it's definitely better because I put a 10-pound cap instead of a 16-pound cap. Okay, I'm gonna start this thing up here. It zooms right up to almost 60 psi for the oil pressure, but that'll come down once it warms up. Like, it's about 30 on idle. But check this out. A lot better since I put the plugs in and torqued them the right way. Oh yeah, listen, I used the torque wrench like I used before, but this time I torqued it to 25 foot-pounds instead of 10.8 to 18 foot-pounds. So instead of the high end of 18 foot-pounds, I went to 25 foot-pounds and stuck them in good. And I figure I'd use a torque wrench because, I mean, if I tighten them by hand, I don't know how tight I'm getting them. So I did 25 foot-pounds, and it's better. And here's the emission thing, and it says for the 25-25 test they allow 151, and I got 85 on the hydrocarbons, and on the let's see here, CO percent, they allow 1.68, and I got 0.08, and on NOx they allow 1570, and I got 360. So it passed real good. I passed on that test too, the 50-15 test. Did real good on that too. And it's not leaking coolant anymore. Like here, that's where, like, it's been filled up cold, a little bit below the hot line. So when I run it, it comes up, and when it cools down, it goes back down. So, but I'm not losing any coolant anymore since I put that less pressure cap on. So that's it. That's what I wanted to tell everybody. It's a lot better, and I just wanted everyone to know and show what I did there. So hope everyone had a good holiday and have a happy new year. Bye.